What's up, everybody? I got a question for you. Have you ever felt like you're in a season too long? Or you felt like you outgrown a season, but it just seems like you're stuck? It seems like you're doing all the right things, you're making all the right steps, you're following what the remedy is that's been given to help you get out of, but you're still not out of it yet? Well, here's what I found out, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't so much about escaping, but it really was being appreciative while in that place of transformation. You see, I find it so interesting that we can be in a hurry to get out of something, but rather than develop the patience to become the person who's ready once that season of preparation is over. Sometimes we take things a little bit too far into our own hands instead of trusting the greater one's hands to deliver us in the midst of great turmoil and in the midst of what we think is a season that will never end. But here's the thing. I heard a saying that goes, storms don't last always, but tough people do. And that's true. But what I've learned is, in the midst of the storm, who is it that you're becoming? Who is it that you're transforming into? Who is it that you are developing into that can handle what's coming for you? Look, all of us at some point when we were young wanted to grow up and be adults so fast because we got tired of childhood. But how many of us honestly can be like, man, if I could go back to childhood to some degree, some of the stuff I'm seeing now, I didn't think about when I was a child, but now that I'm here, oh my gosh, what did I miss? Did I get something wrong? So I'm on here to encourage you that maybe you're in between the valleys, or you're in between the mountains in the valley. You were on top of a mountain, and now all of a sudden it seems like you're going down the top of the mountain, going down into a valley, a deep valley, to come up or climb up a higher mountain. And sometimes that just seems so challenging because you're so used to the place that you got elevated to, or you're used to the promotion, or you came out of a place of struggle and you got to the top of that mountain only to have to go through a deeper process to become a person from the inside. And that doesn't always feel good to then come up higher to the next mountain. One thing I've learned about life is that life is a journey. Life is a process. And I was reading this book by Jim Murphy. I highly recommend it. It's called Inner Excellence. Train your mind for extraordinary performance and the best possible life. And he really, through this book, it was an extension of, I believe, of Matthew. I would say not Matthew, but more of Isaiah 26 verse 3, where it says, thou will keep you in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Right? So in other words, the stuff that I got wrong, because of the pain or because of the challenge and because of the discomfort of what I was in, wasn't feeling as comfortable. I wanted to get out quick. I wanted relief. But as I've come to maturity, I understand now that I appreciate the development in the fire because it helps me become the person who appreciates the testing, or appreciates the trying, or appreciates the development. You see, it's so easy to want to focus on growing the external, transforming your external appearance. But how many know you can look good externally, but internally you can be torn up? Don't know about you, but I've had seasons where I was wanting to get out of things because it felt discomforting. But it was through the discomfort, when that quick answers didn't come like I was used to them coming, that all of a sudden I had to learn to look within and listen. Listen to what Holy Spirit is saying. See, I was, to be transparent, if I could tell you my story, my part about it, and my growth and transformation, I was used to setting me free. In other words, when things would come up, I would be used to trying, or I became accustomed that when things happen, hey, I just got in my own strength. I grinded and hustled until I got it. But some of you are going to think I'm being dismissive, but I'm really not. I'm not saying anything is necessarily wrong with that, but let me challenge you in a sense, in a good way. What I've learned when you're in a season of transformation, in order to go higher, you must first be willing to go deeper. And in going deeper with God, you begin to find out that He wants you to lean more on Him more than you leaned on yourself. That doesn't mean all the time rest in the sense of doing nothing. Sometimes when you rest, it's a matter of resting in flow. You know what? You can work from stress or you can work from flow. And I'd rather work from flow, from what has been given and assigned me to do, rather than work from stress and ambition of what I want to do, but may not be aligned with the assignment. The thing is, today we have so many options. Wouldn't you agree? And here's the thing, not only do we have options, we have easy access to those options. Things come on our phone. Think about that. Ads, and people want your attention, people want your time. That's what they really want. But you know what you're thinking about? You want the next thing. You want the next hot tip. And here's what I found about that. The quick thing may not always be the best thing. I'm not saying that God will never move quickly. I'm not saying that He will never answer your prayers quickly. But sometimes I've learned that there's something special about being patient in the process, being patient in the valley. I've learned about being patient in the valley because it's helped me embrace the fact that I need to relinquish control from what I think I control and allow God to handle what I can't control. See, I can't control outcomes, but I can control incomes. See, I can't control when exactly the harvest is going to grow, but I can do my part to plant the seed. And so many people want to plant the seed today and get the harvest today. Tell me what farmer you know that plants seed today and then gets the harvest today. No. See, and here's the thing about growth. I've learned that growth is not necessarily what happens above the ground, but really growth happens at the root. If you see the tree behind me, right over there, see that branch right there, and you see the leaves. It's a pine tree, by the way. But where the real growth happens is where you don't see, underneath the ground. Underneath the ground impacts what we see above the ground. Give you another example. I was at lunch today with a good friend, and I was sharing with them that real growth takes place privately, and the reflections of that growth happens publicly. Notice I said real growth at the root happens privately, but the reflections of that growth happen publicly. Let's take a caterpillar, for example. A butterfly, right? We get excited about the beauty of that butterfly. But do you know what it was like when that butterfly was nothing but a worm? Nothing but goo. The transformation from that gooey state, and then we see the butterfly state. The transformation in the middle is that cocoon. It wraps itself in and it's closed off so that it can be nurtured. You see, I've learned I'm for community. I love community. I appreciate that. But there's some things in development that happens privately, much more than you telling all your business publicly. In other words, I heard the great Miles Monroe, I heard the great Dr. Myron Golden say you got to slow down to speed up. That means I've learned you got to go deeper. And as the deeper you go, it helps you to come up and then grow wider so you can be more efficient in all that you do. The worst thing to do is ask for promotion and you're not ready. Because if you're not ready for increase, then you'll ruin the increase. Stewardship is about governing, and governing requires becoming who you are, your true identity, being aware about what your purpose is, what problem makes your presence necessary that you were created in this earth for right now, and then what have you been authorized to do? What's your gift? What makes you so unique? If you don't understand that, if you see, a lot of times we focus on the income producing activity, that IPA, okay, but then we really miss the real IPA, which is identity, purpose, and authority. When you know your true identity, when you know your true identity, purpose, and authority, that positions you to flow in your true income producing activity. But I'm sharing these things with you because you're looking at someone that's not only been developed, continuing to be developed, and for a season I had to get away from certain things, even distance myself from certain crowds. Not that they were bad, but I had to get away to silence the noise so I could hear. I appreciate you being on this video with me, but here's the thing, sometimes what can slow us down is having too many voices in our ear. And are we really listening for God to lead us to the right people who's speaking what he wants for our life through particular people that he's assigned to help us? Everybody is not always for you, and eating from everybody's table is not always nutritious for you. So with that being said, my whole point of this video is to share with you, yes, you want to get out of that position that you're in. However, you got to be willing, you got to understand that you don't want to grow up too fast trying to chase the wrong thing, or grow up too fast trying to chase the right thing. All right? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and tune off right now. Thank you for logging in or being here, and even those that watch later, I appreciate you. I hope this was very helpful to you. And until next time, I'll see you with another impactful video. I have not forgot about part 2 of The Wealthy Soul. Thank those that watched that video, but I really want to thank you for joining me right now. And look, stay encouraged. Yeah, the government's shut down, but heaven ain't shut down. God's got plenty more wisdom than what we have settled for. He's the source, not us, and not anything we've done. Because when you're hooked up to the source, the vine, he positions you to flow. So with that being said, see you later. Bye for now.